Massacre. Hello, it's me again, Nate Jackson, Criterion Collector Reviewer Guy, with I think the first Orson Welles story we've had so far. It's number 64. Carol Reed's The Third Man. Oh, let's look at it better. Oh, this is a better shot. The Third Man. The Third, not the first, not the second, but the third. Oh boy, what a treat this was. This was a real nice one. I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it for you guys because it's a trippy story. For those of you who have seen it, I'm sure you will agree that it's one of the greatest films. I mean, I might not have, I might not feel exactly the same way about it, but I do rank it up there. It's definitely one that I would love to have because it's a trip, and almost anything. With Orson Welles. I mean, come on now. Yeah, so basically this is about a guy named Harry Lime, or maybe it's about a guy named Holly Martins. It could be about a guy named Holly Martins too, or maybe it's a girl about Anna Schmidt. It could be any one of those three, or maybe it's about all three of them living simultaneously in post-war Vienna, when after the Allies had divided up Vienna into 4 sections, where the United States owned one, I think France had one, and Germany had one, or something. Not Germany, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so Holly Martins comes to Vienna. He's an American, and he comes looking for his friend Harry Lime because he has a job for him or something like that. And within minutes of him arriving, he finds out that Harry Lime is dead. He attends the funeral, and he comes back escorted by a police officer who gives him money and puts him up for the night, because that's what I think Harry wanted him to do. And they find out he's a writer. He's a very famous writer, and some of the police officers know his work. So but he wants to find out, how did he die and all that, and finds out he was hit by a truck. He tries to contact as many people that knew Harry Lime, as well as including his girlfriend, his dancer, actress girlfriend, Anna Schmidt, who turns out to be the most helpful in his inquiries, and they end up talking more and more, and he ends up helping the police find out more about he ends up helping Anne Hart and getting in the policeman's way, the Officer Calloway, the sergeant, I think, who you can't tell whose side he's on. Eventually he meets the porter, who lives in the building across from where Harry was hit on the street. And after meeting a friend of Harry's, Holly is led to believe that there were 2 men who carried away the body, but the porter tells him that there's a 3rd man, henceforth the name. And now Holly's mission is to find out who the 3rd man is. And through everyone who asks, they get there are no answers, and people just no one knows who the 3rd man is. Until one night, Holly is at Anna's house, or Anna's apartment, and she meets a cat who lived there. He follows the cat out to where Harry Lime is standing in a quiet doorway, just for a split second, and then escapes. Now Holly knows that Harry is alive, and after a request to dig up the grave, they find out that Harry wasn't buried, but Joseph, his name Joseph something or other, he was a man who sold penicillin to Harry, and through a speech there is he finds out that Harry was actually a bad guy. Harry sold penicillin, like tainted penicillin, on the black market, and ended up killing a bunch of children and making them sick, and adults, and just really infecting a lot of people. And so Harry, now And after, of course, meeting Harry, he finds out that Holly told Harry about the police that he was alive, and so Harry tells him to shut his mouth, more or less. And there's a really famous speech that I wish I could recite to you now. I've heard it a couple times now, about a cuckoo clock. Basically saying that I don't want to. I can't recite it. I'm not going to do it injustice. Maybe it's in the booklet. But anyway, yeah. At first, Harry is just. I mean, Holly wants out. Holly just doesn't want to do anything. Just like let them fight. But Calloway takes him to the hospital to see all the sick children, and eventually asks him again, and he finally ends up convincing. He's convinced after seeing the children to help catch, to more or less catch Harry Lime, and so they wait so he follows Anna to a train station to try and talk to her, and Harry comes after them, and he's following the doorway, and it isn't until then, while he's waiting in the thing, and Anna accidentally reveals that he's actually helping the police, and so Harry intends to shoot Holly, but escapes because the police are about to catch him, and so there's a memorable chase through the sewers now, and they chase him through the sewers, and Harry and Holly try to reason, but Harry ends up shooting one of the soldiers, and I think Calloway ends up shooting Harry as well. He's trying to pull himself out of the stairway. Holly corners Harry and asks, and looks like he's going to shoot him, but he's going to let him go. But Harry asks him to go ahead and shoot him, and so he shoots him. And then this time, of course, the funeral is real, and the end of the movie is also pretty poignant too. At the end, Calloway is driving Holly back to the plane station, I think, the airport, and he sees Anna, and he asks to wait for Anna, and so he said, "Oh, but you'll miss your flight." And he's like, "Oh no, that's fine. I gotta do this." So he waits for Anna, and she walks, and there's a long scene where she just walks and walks and walks, and as she approaches Holly, she just walks on by, because obviously because Holly betrayed her. Holly, even though Harry may have wanted Holly to kill him, Anna didn't want Holly to kill him, so yeah, she's upset, and that's how the movie ends. Wonderful plot, wonderful story. It's Graham Greene, the author. It's a trip. I mean, it's a trip, like, especially when you think about the way the zoning, how they did that. I'd heard about it, but I never really knew too much about it until I saw this film. And it's a trip. It's a really nice story, and very complex, great spy kind of story. And yeah, and as far as the direction goes, I mean, the chase through the sewers is memorable, but I think one of the greatest scenes are when we first see Harry Lime, and Harry has that like sly smile. He's looking at him. There's that sly smile, and you only see him because there's a light shining from like some woman's window. When she turns it off, he disappears, and he runs out, and it's just like, he doesn't say a word. It's just this sly smile. It's just like, oh. I mean, partly because it's Orson Welles, and Orson Welles is friggin' amazing. So yeah, we got that, and of course the cuckoo clock scene, which I really don't want to replicate, and it's not printed in the booklet. It's about something about it's not in here. No. Can't believe I'm spoiling. You'd think that it would be printed in here. Nope, nothing. Not seeing anything. Just a quote. I mean, there's mention of it. In Italy, for 30 years, the bourgeoisie, in Italy under the bourgeoisie, for 30 years under the bourgeois, they had warfare, terror, murder, and bloodshed. In Vienna, and Switzerland, they had They had 50 years of peace and celebrated democracy, and what did they produce? The Cuckoo Clock. Goodbye, Harry. Goodbye, Holly. And it's just like, it's something like that. It's as close as it's gonna get. And apparently, Orson Welles actually improvised that line. It's from a book. He like kind of turned it around. And yeah, that was the only line that wasn't in the script. But there needed to be another line for pacing, and Orson Welles just came up with that more or less on the spot, and it's become like this thing, and it kind of makes sense. I mean, it's a trip that Orson Welles would be just this genius to just come up with this on the spot and just make this movie even more memorable. So yeah, what can I say? It's a trip. Carol Reed's got great direction and all that. Yeah, and I mentioned in the last one that I was looking forward to this one because one of my favorite artists, RHKirk, sampled the opening narration for his song by Electronic Eye called "Hey Chief." Basically, just the scene where he talks about the city is divided into 4 subsections and all that. And yeah, and sadly, I didn't hear anything else. RHKirk also wrote a song called Sons of Harry Lime under the name Orchestra Terrestrial. But apart from that, and as well as he wrote a song under the name The Third Man. But apart from that, I didn't recognize any samples. They might be buried in other albums that I don't know about or I haven't heard as well. So yeah, this needs a couple listens through. So. But even with that, I like this movie. It was awesome. I give it an A. Give it an A. Yeah, I'll give it an A. It's pretty. It's essential. Sadly, it's out of print. I'm just really lucky to have found this copy. For at the library. I mean, I don't know how much I think it's pretty. Actually, got rank up big bucks on Amazon and eBay. So if you find it. Don't let it pass by. It's been reissued by Lionsgate, but they're not Criterion, so gotta get the Criterion, even though the supplements are a bit crazy. Let's see. Let's go through the supplements now. So this is a special edition double disc set. Features video introduction by writer-director Peter Bogdanovich, 5 minutes, pretty good. There's a bridge recording of Graham Greenman's treatment read by actor RHKirk. Commentary, didn't review it. Let's see. Shadowing the Third Man, 2005, 90-minute feature documentary on the making of the film. Pretty cool, even though half of it is just scenes from the film, especially shot on different places places on location, on those big projectors, projected onto the famous Ferris wheel in Vienna. Then there's, let's see. Graham Greene, The Hunted Man, an hour-long 1968 episode of the BBC's Omnibus series featuring a rare interview with the novelist. Boring as hell because barely any of it referred to the Third Man. There was a kind of a surprise. There was a bit, I guess he did a story called The Heart of the Matter. And which featured a Maureen O'Brien, whom I knew for as Vicky from Doctor Who. So it was really nice to see just a little clip of her acting, doing something else. So yeah, it was worth it for that. But the rest of it was just, I don't think it was very interesting. I mean, most of it was just clips from his BBC dramas or something like that. I wanted a little insight on the Third Man. There was a little 5 minutes of it, but most of it was just scenes from plays that I never heard about, and it was very hard to understand what he was saying. It wasn't the greatest quality, so yeah, that could be passed on. And Who Was the Third Man, a 30-minute Austrian documentary featuring interviews with cast and crew. Doesn't really say much as to what Shadowing the Third Man said, so again, it's a little superfluous or whatever the word is. Let's see, and then there's Third Man. Oh, Third Man on the Radio. Oh, this is very nice. There's 2 radio plays. One called The Lives of Harry Lime, which was a series that Orson Welles hosted. When he played Harry Lime, it was supposed to be Harry Lime's adventures before the events of the Third Man. And there's a story called Ticket to Tangiers where he's caught up in a heroin deal with a seductive air hostess, and it's really cool. And Orson Welles, I think, wrote them all and performed them all, and he's boss, and kind of makes me want to hear the rest of them. You know, kind of want to check out the rest. And there was also the Lux Radio adaptation of Third Man from 1951 with Joseph Cotton, who plays Holly. He reprises his role, and sadly they couldn't get Orson Welles to do Harry Lime for that one, which would have knocked it out of the park, I think, for me. Especially considering the guy who did it they replicated the cuckoo clock speech on the thing, and it just, that guy's, it just doesn't have the Orson Welles, you know, snap thingy, you know, that delivery. Let's see what else. Illustrated production history with rare behind-the-scenes photos, original UK press book, US trailer. Yeah, the US trailer just kind of butchered the feel of the movie, I think. Actor Joseph Cotton's alternate opening voiceover narrator for the US version. I guess they didn't like the tone when it came out in the US. They used Joseph Cotton's version of the narration because they didn't like, because his tone was better, even though they originally used Carol Reed did the version for the original narration for the UK version. And there's also archival footage of post-war Vienna, which has like footage of the guy who played throughout the whole film. That's why I played that, is the Third Man theme, which, if you watch all the supplements on this, you will forever get sick of that film. Apparently, it was a huge hit back in the 50s when it came out, and everybody went Zither crazy. So it has the guy who wrote the score playing Zither, you know, playing for in a club, you know, for like 3 minutes. And then there's shots of like soldiers in Vienna exploring the sewers, and then a little more about the Third Man in Vienna and all that post-war Vienna. And then there's also a little segment about the dialogue, because a lot of the dialogue that's in, like, I think Vietnamese or German isn't translated, and so we have to rely on Anna, who speaks both English and German, and to translate for Holly, who keeps asking, what do you say? What do you say? What'd she say? You know, and so that's what we're wondering. What did she say? You know, and so the Criterion Collection took it upon themselves to, I guess, translate some scenes, some of the dialogue, which is kind of cool. It doesn't take away anything, you know, to translate to not translate those, but to add it, you know, gives a little bit of character, you know, and all that. So it's nice. So yeah, if you can find this, get it. It's an A. Like I said, the supplements are a little crazy. The radio plays are awesome, and the Shadowing the Third Man documentary, you know, they're all hit. The documentaries are all hit and miss. I think all the other supplements are awesome though. Yeah, that's all I can say. So Third Man, get it, A. And sadly, there was no RHKirk. Sadly, there wasn't any other RHKirk samples. Anyway, so that's it for me. Tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow, we might actually have to wait till Friday to do this one. Number 65, Rushmore. They didn't bother to. Azusa, I guess, doesn't send me cases, the whole cases. So yeah, we're gonna try for tomorrow. I don't know how long the film is. I don't know how many supplements are on it. There's only one disc, and this was, you know, I don't think this was renewed. So yeah, this probably isn't too much. But yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out after this. I'll pop it in actually. I'm sure I'll pop it in now, and we'll find out what's going on. So either we'll do it tomorrow morning, or tomorrow afternoon. You should find it, or it'll be like probably Thursday or Friday. But it'll be done before the weekend. So that's all I can tell you about that one. And then the Orphic, and then this weekend the Orphic trilogy. We'll do that we'll do that probably Sunday. Try to knock all those out. Try to knock all 3 movies out, depending on how long the supplements are and how crazy that gets. And yeah, and then I think Last Temptation of Christ, which I'm still waiting on, and then the Magic Flute, which is coming. And yeah, and then that'll be probably do Last Temptation of Christ and Magic Flute Monday or Tuesday, so next week. And that's it for me. So thanks very much. Thanks for watching. Go be the third man and go buy a cuckoo clock and. Oh, Anton, what's his name, is just turning over in his grave right now, I'm sure. Anyway, that's it from me. And until next time, goodbye.